This is Sean with Voices of Racing, and I have a race legend, one of the first women in the racing world that has been successful for many years. Sarah Fisher, how are you doing? Where are you located? And why don't you kind of tell me from the beginning how you got your start in the industry?
Great. Hi, Sean. Thanks for having me. I got started in racing when I was just 5 years old. I came from a racing family. My family raced sprint cars, wing sprint cars in Ohio, the Ohio Valley, Pennsylvania, and then if we were lucky, in Florida in the off season. So my Uncle Charlie still builds a lot of the, competitors' engines for like World Outlaw cars and so forth. And my dad raced himself in a wing sprint car. My Uncle George was Dale Blaney's crew chief mechanic for, I don't know, 15, 16 years. So that's kind of my family background. So it was natural for me to start in quarter midgets and race go-karts and, go to a lot of WK events and win a lot of those races and then progress up to the wing sprint cars. From there, I, hopped in a asphalt pavement midget for 1 year and from there was pulled up into the Indy. So it happened really fast. My first 500 was when I was 19 years old, so I hadn't even had a chance to flip a burger yet. And had been in Indy cars for long enough to know that that's where I really wanted to be in motorsports.
All right, so what was your first connection with any of the Unsers? You remember the place and time, and what was the situation?
So it was kind of funny. The first team that I drove for was Team Pelfrey, and they had Robbie Unser at the time. So Team Pelfrey took me for my rookie test at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and I got out there, and I didn't have a radio in my helmet. Sprint car drivers on dirt don't have radios, and so it was easier for me to just wear Robbie's helmet. So I took my rookie test there. I didn't have any telemetry. It was just kind of a chaotic moment in time, but did really well, enough that, the IndyCar series approved me to run. So Texas of 1999, gosh, really old, was my first IndyCar race after that.
All right, so here's a great shot that we were just chatting about. It was in an SVRA event, kind of vintage cars running. Why don't you explain this moment and what happened at the event?
Well, so Al and I have been friends for a long time. And, in this picture, we're both retired as race car drivers. So this SVRA event was an event where, we were kind of supposed to be the ringers, right? And Al always drives for a very fast, very known team in SVRA. And the team I was paired with, my teammate, gentleman driver, was about 6'4", maybe 300 pounds. So my 5'2" frame did not fit the car very well. And so it was sort of a strategy event where I couldn't turn the car, heavy and no power steering, and I'm strapped to a pile of foam just to fit. Probably not appropriate whatsoever. But in any case, our strategy led us to win the race. And so here we are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I'm laughing because here's Al trying so hard with a team that deserves to be on the top of the podium, and just because our simple strategy, we won the race instead. So we were just having a really good moment at that time. But that's a precious memory, and it's great to be able to reflect and look back on those. So thank you for finding that one.
All right, so this one looks like you've just received an award. Your hair looks beautiful. Al looks stunning in his suit jacket. Where are you guys on stage, and what did you just win in this photo?
That was a long time ago. I don't even know if I still have that trophy. So you can tell we're both extremely young. I believe that might have been my first year in IndyCar, the Indy Racing League. And Al and his dad were pivotal in helping me figure out how to read these rear engine cars. You know, grew up in sprint cars, which is their background as well. So I think, you know, when I came to the series, they had that protective uncle layer that they were trying to help me figure out that transition from feeling a car with your body and your butt and steering it with your feet to feeling it with your hands and you know, reading that feedback that the car is telling you it needs. And so, you know, we spent a lot of time talking about those things. So, you know, when we get to look back at moments like this one where we're sort of celebrating getting to the end of the year and having learned a lot, it's just, it's really priceless.
All right, so here we've got a shot that it kind of brings three different things together. Why don't you explain the three things in this news article? That one happens to be your husband, and then volunteering, and then Al on top. What was this in the Southside Times in Indianapolis?
Yeah, so I was digging through all of my totes of pictures and things throughout my career to find a really good picture of Al Sr. and myself sitting on the wall at Phoenix. And instead, I found this article, which was pretty cool because there's Al Jr., you know, getting ready for the race there at Indianapolis. There's an article about John O'Gara, who's my father-in-law, in his transition to dryer and Reinbold racing. And then at the bottom is a picture of myself, you know, my rookie year driving for Derek Walker. And little do you know that one day I'd go drive for, you know, under my father-in-law, Johnny O at racing, and then ultimately would work with Al, not in the driver to driver, team to team, but you know, as it is today with our rookie drivers and the Wing and Wheels Foundation and you know, Superstar Racing. So it's just really neat how back in the day you have this article that frames all three families on one page, and that one day we'd all be working together.
That's beautiful. And here's the third in your family. Your daughter, what is her name?
That's Zoe. She's actually homesick today.
And how old is Zoe now?
Zoe is 10 today. So that's quite a few years older than that picture.
Does she have this photo framed on her wall? Because it's pretty adorable.
Yeah, she has lots of photos framed. And that one was pretty awesome because I believe I was pregnant with Danny at the same time, our son. So great memories from that year.
And here's a shot of you and your husband, Andy, who I've also had the privilege to interview about the Unsers and his memories of them. So how did you guys originally meet?
So back to that article, he was on the dryer and Reinbold racing team and was my started as my left front tire changer, front end mechanic, and then worked his way all the way up to being, you know, the team manager at our team and our right front guy and just the leader of all of our IndyCar racing operations together. So this was our last year as team owners in IndyCar.
All right, so here's a shot of Unser Jr.'s Uncle Bobby. Bobby, you know, obviously three-time winner, Indy 500, along with Al being 4, and we lost Al Sr. and Bobby last year. So where was this moment? And also I'd like you to talk a little bit about the driving styles that you've been able to study from Bobby and Al Sr. and just kind of speak to that for a little bit.
Sure. So this was at the Chili Bowl. I had never raced midgets on dirt. I grew up with wing sprint cars on dirt, which was, you know, why I had that, you know, common camaraderie almost immediately with the entire Unser family, because they came from that dirt sprint car racing, you know, model. So, you know, Bobby and I are here. We're joking kind of about the big wing sprint car horsepower, and then these little midgets inside this arena, and kind of where I was planning on running that night, and just seeing him there and seeing him support, you know, that short track dirt fan. Man, he was a true racer, and that was awesome. He just had always been so supportive, and as many panels as I've sat on with him, and to have him call me out in such a great way and support me in the sport, that's just something you don't find every day. So he was a great friend and a legend for sure.
Do you remember any moments that you were sitting with him, or maybe even you had the privilege of sitting with Al Sr. and they're like, Sarah, you really need to tone in or key in on this. You need to do it, like any real specific, um, you know, knowledge of things that, you know, you could tweak that maybe you weren't doing just right, but they were giving you the answer from their experience.
There was lots of moments like that. You know, like I say, the Unsers were so vital to me understanding that transition of a front engine car on dirt to a rear engine car at, you know, 220 mile an hour plus on pavement. So, you know, understanding what the car, how it's feeling and what it's telling you, and how every corner is working. And I had very good feel of a race car, which that quality, I think, you know, they tapped into that and brought out how to read rear engine cars were telling me from every corner, and the feel that I was getting, and what that meant, and what we needed to change, and, you know, how to tweak that when it's not doing what you want it to do, and to drive it better when it's not the most perfect car, because God knows you don't have those very often. But just that relatability, I think, was such a wonderful experience, and was priceless in my career.
So did you ever have the chance to spend some time with Senior?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, Al Senior, he was a coach for the Indy Racing League. The Indy Racing League had Johnny Rutherford and Al Unser Senior come to the track to help rookies as they were trying to progress. And by all means, I was not groomed to race Indy cars. I came from a sprint car family. I was, you know, that's where most of my time prior to Indy cars, and, you know, getting the opportunity was amazing. So having Al Senior there to help coach me along, and to learn that transition, that was huge. So I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity to spend time with him, and to learn, you know, sort of the highlights of, you know, learning to drive those two different cars, and what those cars are telling you, and feeling what they feel and what that means. That was a big deal.
So you are involved in a few things now. One's is Wings and Wheels Foundation that helps, you know, essentially up and coming drivers that deserve it, that maybe don't have the financing to get to where they need to get. And here's a shot of you and Alora McAllister with a young driver. Who's the young driver in the picture with both of you?
That's Chloe Chambers. She's the driver that Mark and Alora McAllister hired last year to drive one of their F4 cars. And, you know, Alora and Mark founded the Wings and Wheels Foundation, and they're, you know, in their bringing up new and upcoming race car drivers. Chloe was one of those first that was picked to do that.
So here's a young gentleman that's 14 years old, Elliot Cox, up and comer. Here's yourself and your husband with him out on the track. And then we've got a shot here of Al. And I understand that Al's been trying to help groom this young gentleman to become one of the next top drivers. So why don't you give me a little bit of backstory about Elliot and his working with Al, and just what you think his road ahead is like.
Wow. So it's been amazing to have worked with Al as a rookie myself, and to race with him on track. And then many, many years down the road, be able to meet with Al through Mark McAllister, and to be able to have Al work for, you know, the Future Star Racing folks, and to work with, you know, the SFHR development team to bring up drivers like young Elliott. Because let's face it, I'm not a road course major. I might be a business major and be the best on ovals, but, you know, Al has some incredible experience. And as a coach, he really knows how to define what the car means when it's talking to you by certain feelings. So if the driver feels the car doing X, Y, or Z, and how that relates. And it's fun to watch Al working with Elliot and the other Future Star drivers, because Al gets in a regular street car and he just, I mean, he's laughing, he's having a blast, and he's, you know, just, it feels like a paperweight to him, and the feeling that he gets even from a regular street car. And just watching him enjoy being a driver and working with these young kids. has been excellent. You know, it's a great exit strategy for him as a legend, being a racing car driver, and to see that and to be a part of that is phenomenal.
So I just want to go back to this photo because it's just a great picture of you guys. What would you like to just say directly to Al for his birthday? And then I've got one other question I'd like to ask you, but what would you like to say directly to Al for his birthday, and also Norma?
Well, knowing them both before and after, and just knowing how wonderful people they are. To Al, for your birthday, man, I'm just so happy that you're happy and you're in a good place. And I'm so proud of you and your accomplishments, and just so belated that I've had the opportunity to work with you and your family, and that you've made my career a lot of what it is from the beginning. And I'm so grateful for that. So, happy birthday, and looking forward to many more together.
All right, so I'm going to bring this back to you. You've accomplished something that very few women have been able to get into the industry and get to the level that you've done. So what would you like to say in closing to inspiring young female drivers, and what kind of advice would you like to give them in general?
I think the main thing is to be yourself, be who you are, and, you know, make an impact with the strengths that you have as an individual. Everybody's different. And for me, I had a much more different background than the typical IndyCar driver did. So in having those strengths, I was able to work with such a fantastic family as the Unser. And that was an incredible experience that I'll never lose. So truly be yourself, believe in what you want, and work as hard as you can every single day to get there.
All right. Well, Sarah, I really appreciate your time, and I commend you on your career, and I commend you that you have kind of a second life in racing now and helping the younger people get to where they need to be, and you've been able to pass on your knowledge and, you know, your love of the Unsers. Obviously, you've had a lot of time with them, and they've been able to help you on your road. So just stay on the line, and I thank you for your time, and I'm going to close this one out.
Thank you.
You got it.